Hello, welcome back to Learn Oikonomia. Today we are going to discuss the internationalization of rupee, the significance of the same and the blocks of the same. What are the significance of internationalization of rupee and how do certain blocks which would be prevailing in the economy would affect the internationalization of rupee? Let's have a look into these. I have already done a video on the concept of internationalization of rupee. If you have not understood what is the concept of internationalization of rupee, you can refer to that video. I'll be providing the link of the very same in the description box. Having said that, moving to the significance of the very same concept, the best advantage of internationalization of the rupee is that it will be reducing the dependence of a nation on some other foreign currency, and this is especially happening with respect to US dollar. We know that when it comes to international trade or foreign trade, mostly all nations do have a tendency to depend on foreign trade, depend on US dollars to make the payments of foreign trade in terms of dollars. Now, this would be, as a result of internationalization of rupee, this would be increasing the bargaining power of India when it comes to international business. Why this happens is, it increases the importance of Indian rupee when it comes to international transaction. This will expand the use of rupee in international trade. So there would be a reduction in the dependence of US dollars, and also this would reduce the risk for Indian businessmen by eliminating the exposure to volatility or fluctuations. This would reduce the cost of doing business. Also, this would be boosting the exports. This would make the export sector more competitive, and this will help us to reduce our imports. There is actually a need to maintain forex reserves or foreign reserves, and this can drastically reduce a sizable share of India's trade. It's something that we can settle in terms of rupee, and this is our domestic currency. What are the blocks here? We know that whenever we use rupee for international trade transaction, we have to follow the trade agreement, and this is not easy to implement. And this is the main reason why India and Russia suspended some effort to settle some bilateral trade in terms of Indian rupee. And this was something that happened after several months of negotiations and discussions. And you have to understand that rupee is something that is not fully convertible, and this too would be acting as a blockade. India's share of global export of goods, this is only 2%, and this would reduce the necessity for other countries to hold rupees. That is another blockade that we are facing. Moving to the Russia's case, Russia always wanted to have a trade to be done in terms of Chinese yuan, the currency of China, then also UAE dirham, or it wanted other currency. It doesn't want Indian rupee. Now, India, if you look at the balance sheet, trade balance of India, India is having a deficit when it comes to trade. And this happened basically with the major trading partners of India. For example, India is having a huge trade deficit with China, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Russia. And this implies that in the case of Russia, you have to go for some kind of negotiations again. And balancing exchange rate stability and domestic monetary policy still offers some blockade when it comes to internationalization of rupee. Because as rupee becomes more internationalized, it would be more vulnerable to some economic shocks. You know that when it comes to 2008 crisis, the US dollar affected the most. This got affected the most, isn't it? So what about if we go for internationalization of the rupee would be taken for international transactions. As a result, whatever the kind of changes that happen in the economy would be reflected in rupee as well. So if there is a shock or recession or depression kind of thing happening, the effect of the very same would be felt in the value of rupee as well. And this would change several other factors of Indian economy. It will lead to many problems in the Indian economy. Now also we could see that whenever there is a change in global interest rate, whenever there is a change in global commodity prices, this too will affect the valuation of Indian rupee. Again, these act as blockades. Also, we could see that it is something which is very difficult for the central bank of the country, Central Bank of India. What is the Central Bank of India? This is the Reserve Bank of India, the central bank of our country. So RBI always need to maintain both exchange rate stability in income when it comes to domestic oriented business, and also it needs to go for a domestically oriented monetary policy. That means it has to deal with both the domestic matters and foreign matters simultaneously, isn't it? So in this case, again there exists a block when it comes to internationalization of rupee, and the lesser control on money supply, this too can be there. That means when a currency is internationalized, both Indians, the people who live in India, and the non-resident Indians, the people who are Indian citizens, but these people will be living outside India. Both of these category could buy as well as sell the domestic currency, and they can sell some domestic currency denominated financial instruments, and these we call as derivatives. The value of the same would be derived from the value of Indian currency. And the demand and supply of the country's currency could be influenced not just by the domestic factors but also by the external foreign factors. When Indian rupee gets internationalized, again, if so happens, the Reserve Bank of India would be having limited control over the money supply, and this would make it difficult for the Reserve Bank of India to maintain a stable interest rate when it comes to the domestic territory in line with the requirements of the domestic economy. This will not happen in domestic territory. There would be risk from full convertibility of rupee as well. That means for rupee to be internationalized both efficiently and effectively, even the central government will have to remove some restrictions regarding entity from both buying as well as selling rupee. There will be certain agencies which will be there in the market, international market, to buy Indian rupee. There will be certain other agencies in the international market to sell Indian rupee. So the government will have to remove certain restrictions on those entities from buying as well as selling Indian rupee. That too would be a block, and here there won't be any restriction on the flow of capital in and out of the country. So capital will move from India to outside, and it will move from outside to India with no restrictions. And successive governments that is there in India have always avoided the full convertibility on capital account. Now, why they have done this? They wanted to prevent economy from exposed to the risk that is happening in the economy as a result of globalization and other forms of international level linkages, and also there would be some financial shocks, like the one which happened in 2008. For this case also, India wanted to reduce the impact of these kinds of shocks and risks on Indian economy. That's all about today's session. I hope you understood the significance and blockades that we have when it comes to internationalization of rupee. Thank you for watching. You can join our free Telegram community to have discussions. I'll be providing the link of the same in the description box. Also, you can download the Learn Economy app, for which also I'll be providing the link in the description box. That's it. I request you to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos. Thank you.